DOGOS takes place in a world where mechanically enhanced humanoids from space, Xeetnooks, have taken over Earth 50 years ago. You, Desmond Phoenix, are the last DOGOS pilot in a rebellion to take back the planet. Story is told through gameplay between yourself and your coordinator, Europa, as you blast away alien scum. In between missions, Joe will also read through diary entries in a style similar to a zombie apocalypse, which is where the narrative loses it for me. For a space shooter, it takes itself too seriously and doesn't fit the gameplay, plus it ends on a limp note, raising the victory flag without really giving much context throughout the journey. It's a weak narrative with equally droll voice work. Gameplay is a weird mix of classic shoot-'em-ups and new ideas. It's a top-down, open environment shooter that transforms during certain sections of the game. For example, each level is open-ended, with objectives sprinkled in, allowing the player to tackle some situations with altering paths. Some bot fights morph the game into a fixed vertical perspective, then there are auto-scrolling sections wherein your ship runs through canyons, dodging obstacles and enemies at the top speed, reminiscent of the trench run from Star Wars. At the start, you're giving 4 options of difficulty settings, 2 ships, and customization for whatever vessel chosen, including altering air and ground weapons, along with ship color. Each ship has altering stats, but they play relatively alike with the same weapons and skins. Let's say for the sake of argument you want to try out the other ship after beating the game. Well, you're not in luck because there is one save file for DOGOS. That means if one wants to start a new game, it completely wipes the previous file. As a reviewer, I felt it necessary to test both out, so all my progress was completely wiped. I couldn't go back, and the other ship I chose really did feel exactly the same, so it was pointless. Cool decision, DOGOS, he said sarcastically as he smashed something in a corner. Why would you offer 2 ships if you can't even try each out after fear of deletion? It's mind-boggling to me. The confusion doesn't end there, but it's not all bad. In fact, some elements felt refreshing to the genre initially, but after hours of gameplay, a few issues started cropping up. The auto-scrolling segments in particular were nauseating, killing me if I just so much as grazed a wall or enemy, sending the ship back to the beginning of that section. If you're playing on very easy, which allows for infinite lives, it's more or less fine, but the rest of the difficulty choices only provide 3 lives per mission, making these trench runs more annoying. Despite what hardcore gamers may say, I recommend very easy as I don't want others to suffer as I did. The open levels, again, are a nice touch, but even they have flaws, particularly with speed. Your ship is slow without any kind of boost, and sometimes you have to backtrack multiple times on a map, which sort of deflates the novelty of an open shmup. Actually playing the game feels solid when faced against air enemies, but no matter what ground weapon I chose, neither of them felt effective, like the hit detection was off. By this point you can probably tell that I have a lot of complaints with DOGOS, so let's just get them all out of the way. Before I begin, I want to clarify I am not a game developer, nor do I know how games are made, and what trials this one went through during its creation. That said, let's tear through it. Any other modes would have been great, being in a boss rush, or especially a co-op option. The ship moves too slow, so I would suggest a boost option, or tweaks to the controls. Speaking of which, the ground weapons are bad, so tweak those a little bit as well. There should be multiple save slots, and if not, then remove the other ship as it's too similar to the other one to negate any feelings of resentment, like myself, if someone deletes their file. I'd even suggest to work on the story or remove it completely as well. Now, is that it? Oh wait, right! I haven't talked about boss battles, which for the most part are excellent aside from a couple things. 1. There are no health bars, so encounters seemingly last forever. One boss in particular felt like I was blasting away at nothing without the slightest hint of it about to die. Second, the last 3 bosses, and the aforementioned ending itself, was an awful letdown. Literally, the last 3 levels are the same boss, albeit with different powers, but man, what a deflated balloon of a finale. I kind of want to spoil it here, but I think I've ranted for too long at this point, so let's wrap it up. It's not like I didn't have fun with DOGOS, but even small things added up to a headache. It felt like too many new ideas to the genre without enough playtesting. I like the style of it, which reminded me of someone modding StarCraft into a shoot-'em-up. My issues have been documented enough already, so I won't digress. It's an exact middle-of-the-road kind of game that could have been something great for the genre if the execution was better implemented. As a fan of shmups, and the indie scene in general, it didn't feel great to tear DOGOS apart as I did. But as a reviewer, sometimes you gotta make tough choices. Did you know that was a ReActionExaminer video? If you liked it, you should subscribe to me to keep up with everything that I'm doing. Also, if you have some other interests, like sex for example, check out Tomops, which is a comedy sex podcast thing wherein my best friend and I check out the weird and abnormal and the erotic. And of course, you should support me on Patreon because, hey, I want to make the channel better and I want your help to do so. Plus, if you want to check out my writing, check out Game Jerk, where I have archives and new stuff for all projects, okay? You can find all the stuff and more in the description with the links below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time.